Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a mother accused of child endangerment learns her fate. Find out what's next in the case.
A big decision brewing in Port Lavaca. What's at stake and why a tax break is part of the deal.
Plus, for the first time, the public is stepping inside the brand new Mission Valley Elementary. Find out when it will open to students.
We actually popped a couple of showers this afternoon up to the north of us. They're still rolling around. Will they affect us tomorrow? And what about the weekend? We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
And Victoria East football hosts their spring game tonight at Memorial Stadium. We'll highlight this game later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker.
A Victoria mother has pleaded guilty to child endangerment after police say she left her 3 young children alone in an unsafe apartment. 22-year-old Christina Bonda was arrested back in December along with 24-year-old Damian Pyle. Officers found the kids just 5, 2, and 7 months old alone in the apartment. Bonda took a plea deal of 5 years probation, 50 hours of community service, and 2 other charges were dropped. Pyle is set to appear in court this August.
2 years after the tragedy in Uvalde, young students in Central Texas are making sure the names of the teachers lost are never forgotten.
With paint, prayers, and powerful connections, they are turning heartbreak into hope. Abigail Velez has the story.
Oh, you're putting detail? That's awesome.
At Gilbert Elementary in Del Valle ISD, the smallest hands are doing something big.
She was 1 in a million. I agree with you.
Students carefully paint rocks, each one a tiny tribute meant for someone they will never meet.
Forever? Yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful.
They didn't know Eva Mireles, but their teacher did.
To see so many people giving me that support, but also the fact that they're remembering her name and keeping her memory alive.
Mireles was one of the 2 teachers killed at the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde on May 24th of 2022. Eva died shielding her students.
Because I remember I was right here in this room when I heard the news, and I still have that memory going in the bathroom and screaming.
Ms. Sanders stayed in the classroom even when grief could have taken her out of it. She's a teacher just like Eva and works in a room filled with photos, memorials, and love.
It might sound silly, but she's in here with me every day.
Less than a mile up the road at Daly Middle School, another sibling walks the halls. Del Valle ISD police officer Marcus Lozano lost his sister, Irma Garcia, in that same shooting. 2 days later, he lost his brother-in-law, Joe, to a heart attack after laying flowers at Irma's memorial.
Something that you'll never be prepared for and you'll never accept. And time will not heal this.
Lozano carries his grief on duty, driven to protect every child and teacher that he can.
Whatever happened in Uvalde is not going to happen here. And that's my best way to honor my sister.
When Officer Lozano first saw Miss Sanders in the hallway at Gilbert, he couldn't believe it.
I don't know if it was meant to be, but I felt her pain. She knows my pain.
On Wednesday, Del Valle ISD held its 3rd Uvalde Strong Day. Students and staff wore maroon to remember Eva and Irma. At Gilbert Elementary, teachers formed a prayer circle.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Then stood in silence for the lives lost. As the last rocks lay drying in the sun, tiny hands painted them, but the message they leave behind is huge.
Oh, that's beautiful, Samantha. It says Eva.
A sister's memory can still shine in a place that Irma and Eva never stood, surrounded by children who now carry their story.
I just want people to not forget, like, the sacrifices that she made that day.
Victoria College has landed a $1.2 million federal Gear Up grant to help local students be ready for college. VC is one of just 18 schools nationwide and 6 in Texas to receive this award. The program kicks off with nearly 100 7th graders from Patty Welder and STEM middle schools, offering tutoring, test prep, college tours, and more all the way through their first year of college. It's a major boost for students in Victoria ISD and a strong partnership between the district and Victoria College to help kids plan for their future.
The future of the Fannin Monument is on hold. Goliad County posted on its website that the Commissioners Court meeting and Fannin Monument public hearing, scheduled for next Tuesday, May 27th, were canceled. The Post said the Commissioners Court meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items. The county's website said the public hearing was canceled due to a requested delay. It will be rescheduled at a later date. The Texas Commission on Jail Standards conducted an unannounced inspection of the Goliad County Jail this week. With more than 600 points of compliance to maintain, the jail passed with all regulatory requirements being met. Sheriff Roy Boyd says the Goliad County Jail is considered one of the cleanest and best run facilities in the state. Sheriff Boyd adds this inspection report is as close to perfect as he has seen in 31 years of service. The Atlantic hurricane season starts on June 1st. Experts think it will be busy. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts there will be between 13 and 19 named storms, with about 10 becoming hurricanes. NOAA thinks 3 to 5 of those will become major hurricanes, Category 3 or higher. All that while federal agencies devoted to helping the communities deal with the storms struggle with preparedness. NOAA and FEMA both experienced cuts in staffing. Officials in those agencies say the accuracy of forecasts could suffer and recovery help for people impacted could be slow. And this brings us to our viewer poll tonight. How prepared do you feel for an above average hurricane season this year? Very prepared, somewhat prepared, not prepared at all. So far, 63% of our voters, and that number has really been in the low 60s all day long, say they are somewhat prepared for an above average hurricane season this year. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we thank you for voting.
Are you ever really prepared for a hurricane? I don't know.
You could say you are, but then here comes the storm and you're not prepared for that particular thing. You know.
Always something, but
Yeah.
definitely keep your, we'll be keeping an eye on any of the
Sure.
storms that do form. So, but grab your umbrella for the next several days because you're going to need it no matter what we have, whether it's rain or sun, because you can use it to stay dry or as some shade.
And you can use Mac Pettas either way for those next few days too, Thinking about it, Mac.
The umbrella is a much better idea. We are, of course, talking about the hot, humid weather, but already we've begun that shower activity I kept promising you about. Here you see Blanco, there's San Antonio. Big cluster of storms came very close tonight, and guess what? There's more to the north, and that is the stuff that's kind of drifting down here and will make our atmosphere a little bit more unstable, so that we'll see some afternoon showers through the weekend. I'll have a lot more on that coming up in just a moment.
ExxonMobil is laying out plans for a major project in Calhoun County, but concerns over water use are sparking tough questions from the community.
25 News Now weekend anchor Amaya Norman joins us with the details. Amaya?
Yes, today it was a full house in Calhoun County as ExxonMobil hosted a public informational meeting to discuss a proposed chemical plant project. And residents showed up eager to learn more and voice their concern. ExxonMobil addressed a full house in Calhoun County, sharing early plans for a potential chemical manufacturing facility. Company leaders outlined job opportunities, pledged to protect local waterways from contaminations like plastic pellets, and promised support for hospitals, law enforcement, and schools. Residents listened, then spoke up. Their top concern is water. They question where the company plans to get water for the plant, saying Calhoun County already struggled with limited fresh water due to past industrial activities like Formosa. ExxonMobil responded by saying the project remains in its early stages. Leaders haven't made a final decision and they're still exploring options.
No, we understand water is a concern in the community, and we are conducting studies to understand the water needs for our project and where we will obtain the water that is necessary to operate the plant, working with the local water authorities and others too. Yes, it is. It's extremely important for us to have these types of interactions in the community so that we can be transparent about where we are in the process.
The company says it will continue to work with residents as planning moves forward, and community voices will remain a key part of the process. They expect to make an investment decision by 2027. If they choose Calhoun County, constructions will begin in 2031. ExxonMobil plans more outreach events in the coming months. Shawna and Dawn, back to you.
Well, Texas lawmakers are poised to make it easier to suspend disruptive students, but some teachers and school psychologists say discipline alone won't meet the mental health needs at the root of their behavior. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com.
The Texas House and Senate reached an agreement on a school funding bill today. House Bill 2 includes $8.5 billion in new funding, the largest single increase in public education funding in Texas history. It includes $4.2 billion for record permanent teacher and staff pay raises, $1.3 billion for basic costs to help districts with expenses like insurance and utilities, and $430 million for school safety. A prayer period in schools is backed by the Texas legislature. A House vote showed broad support for the measure that would let districts set aside time for prayer or religious study. The House approved the measure 91 to 51 at the end of hours of debate in which some lawmakers questioned bill language that allows teachers to encourage students to pray, including praying to a different faith. The Senate voted for the measure in March. After a final procedural vote, the bill will head to Governor Greg Abbott.
For the first time, the public is getting a peek inside the brand new Mission Valley Elementary School. Children and parents are all smiles as they explore the new campus. The doors officially open for school this August with an expanded capacity of up to 400 students. Victoria ISD Board President Micah Patton says the doors are open to everyone who wants to check it out before then. Right now, more than 200 students call Mission Valley their home school, and it is clear that this new space is something the whole community can be proud of.
It's fantastic, and I'm just excited for the community and the kids and for Victoria, because this is a model that we can utilize in the future or the other elementary schools in Victoria.
Over the summer, the original campus buildings will be torn down, the portables will be cleared out, and crews will put the finishing touches on the parking lot and surrounding grounds. Whether they're heading to college, joining the workforce, or following their passions, we are celebrating the hard work and big achievements of our local graduates. Amoralina is graduating from St. Joseph High School. Mom, Dad, Ethan, and Michaela say your journey has just begun. We are so very proud of you. With love. Another St. Joe 2025 grad is Avery Jade. The message to her says, we are so very proud of you and cannot wait to continue cheering you on and supporting you throughout your next journey in college. We all love you. And Mariah Paul is walking the stage at Calhoun High School. The message to her, congratulations, Mariah Paul. We are so proud of you and celebrate graduation day with you. You can send in a photo and heartfelt message for your graduate through June 13th. Our local grads are being featured on air and across our social media. It's our way of celebrating the class of 2025 right along with you. Just go to crossroadstoday.com, click on the entertainment tab, then select contest to upload your tribute and share your pride. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our news, and you can watch those videos 24 hours a day. A major boost for Texas border security, how much the state could get back and what it means for immigration enforcement, coming up on 25 News Now at 10.
Also ahead, a memorial grows in Washington, D.C. after a tragic attack, how world leaders and investigators are responding.
House early this morning voted to pass President Trump's sweeping tax and spending cuts bill. The narrow 215 to 214 vote came after days of intense negotiations. The legislative package includes measures that would cut into Medicaid and food stamps. It would also make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. House Republicans made changes to the bill Wednesday night in an effort to win over GOP holdouts. Among them, speeding up the start of work requirements for Medicaid to the end of 2026. Republicans also moved to phase out Biden-era energy tax credits sooner than planned. The bill now heads to the Senate.
Billions of dollars of funding to reimburse Texas for border security spending were added to the Republican spending mega bill. The House early Thursday approved the bill, which includes $12 billion to reimburse states for efforts to enforce immigration laws since the day of former President Biden's inauguration in 2021. The bill now goes to the Senate. Texas spent an estimated $11.1 billion on Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star program, which used state funds to militarize the southern border.
The FBI is calling the shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. an act of terror. A suspect has been arrested, accused of shooting the couple last night as they were leaving a celebration for young Jewish diplomats.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the couple was planning to get engaged next week.
A memorial growing today in Washington, D.C. at the site where 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed last night. Flowers placed outside the Capitol Jewish Museum, where investigators say a gunman killed Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. This card placed on the sidewalk reads, "Yaron and Sarah, we will remember you with love." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the couple was planning to get engaged in Jerusalem next week.
Yaron and Sarah weren't the victims of a random crime. The terrorists who cruelly gunned them down did so for one reason and one reason alone. He wanted to kill Jews.
Police in Washington say the suspected shooter is Elias Rodriguez from Chicago, heard shouting, "Free Palestine," after the shooting.
Free Palestine!
Video from inside the museum shows his arrest.
So he pulls out his keffiyeh and he says, "I did it. I did it for Gaza."
Federal agents today in Chicago going inside what's believed to be the suspected shooter's home. FBI Director Kash Patel calls the shooting an act of terror.
The Department of Justice will be prosecuting the perpetrator responsible for this to the fullest extent of the law. Hatred has no place in the United States of America.
Attorney General Pam Bondi says security has increased in Washington, with U.S. Marshals working to keep the Israeli embassy safe.
Everyone is working together as a team. FBI, ATF, our U.S. Marshals are out here trying to protect everyone. But our Jewish community must feel safe.
Police say the suspect was seen pacing back and forth outside the museum before the shooting, and the FBI is trying to find out if he has any ties to terrorist organizations. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
The Justice Department indicted a Russian man, accusing him of running a global cybercrime operation. Prosecutors say 48-year-old Rustam Galyamov created malware called Quackbot, used to infect thousands of computers worldwide since 2008. He reportedly profited from ransomware attacks carried out using that software. The U.S. seized over $24 million in cryptocurrency and is working to return it to victims. Galyamov faces up to 25 years in prison, but is believed to be in Russia, which does not extradite to the U.S.
Well, good evening, everyone. Coming up, we'll be talking about your weekend weather. 79 degrees right about now. Our high today managed to get up to 93. That compares to 88 is our average temperature for the beginning of summer. We've been as warm as 99 on this date. What about those showers? Well, they're on their way. We'll be talking about it after this. Well, good evening, everybody. It's a big weekend. A lot of people traveling tomorrow, getting out for the long holiday weekend. You know, and what about those showers? Well, they're on their way. As a matter of fact, it began today. Now, here we are in Victoria, and you can see the big, thick clouds that are rolling over us. They're actually the debris or the leftovers of some big thunderstorms that fired to the north of us this afternoon. You can see a big, hungry mob of thunderstorms right about here, and they're moving southeast. This is going to be, shall we say, making our atmosphere more unstable as we get into the weekend. That's why we think we are going to get those thunder showers. Also, earlier today, right along here, the mountains of northern Mexico, maybe you've never seen them, maybe you never know they were there, but believe me, they have a lot to do with our weather. The humidity hits the mountains, they rise up, create thunderstorms, and then they roll back over us, and that's what's happening right here, although that activity is decreasing. Now let's take a closer look at the Doppler radar. Here is Victoria, there's San Antonio, here's Blanco. You can see the cluster of thunderstorms right about there. They're on I-10 headed down toward the Bernie area. So these are beginning to weaken, but they won't weaken until maybe midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning because the sun has gone down, obviously. So you can see how they're weakening somewhat. But guess what? Just up the road, there's another cluster of storms, and this is a big complex, what we call an MCC, a mesoscale convective complex, and it is rolling down into the hill country. A, we need the rain in the Guadalupe River. B, we need the rain, but not this weekend, right? Well, that's kind of how it's going to work out. Let's take a look at, we have no watches or warnings for our area. However, much of West Texas, severe thunderstorm watch right about there because it's likely to pop again tomorrow afternoon. So another big story for today is that the Hurricane Center came out with their outlook. They're expecting to get anywhere from 15 to 19 named storms. Those are tropical storms. Obviously from there we reduce down to hurricanes, and that'll be 6 to 10, and that is about 2 to 3. It's actually 60% chance that it'll be a very active season. So, you know, again, where they're going to hit is a big question mark. What time they're going to hit is another question mark. So we all just have to be ready because this is going to happen whether we're ready or not. And it's better to be prepared than not prepared. So we've got a project coming up in next month, June, and we'll be talking about it later, about all the tips you need to sort of plan ahead. That's what I'm saying. So there's our strong southerly winds blowing. You can see right there. And you can see the thunderstorms that are upstream. Now that activity is rolling down the hill country. It'll be probably in San Antonio tonight. Whether it jumps over Gonzales and comes down here is a big question mark, but we're going to be watching it to see if it does evolve. Now tonight, not exactly cool, getting down to only about 75 as a low temperature. Tomorrow, yes sir, yeah, it's going to be warm, that's for sure. 94 for us, 90 in Bay City, and 95 in the Cuero area. Here's a view of Future Tracker. There you see the storm decreasing but getting very close to our area. Tomorrow looking for a high of 89 in Port Lavaca. In Cuero you're looking for a high of about 94. Should be partly cloudy with 1 or 2 isolated afternoon showers. And the rain chance increases on Sunday and again on Monday, Memorial Day, a 30% chance. So just have a great time. Don't worry about it. These are going to be little pop-ups that occur in the afternoon hours. Otherwise, drive safely. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. If you do, you can put Crossroads a Day on your phone and you can watch the storms on the radar. We'll we're going to toss it over to Maxwell, who's got all the latest sports you need to know about.
Well, that's right, Mac. After the break, we're going to talk about who will be this week's Athlete of the Week, and also I will tell you some big news out of softball area. Again, 2 teams could make the state championship. Will they? I'll tell you all that information coming up in sports. All right, Crossroads. Last week we gave our Athlete of the Week to Victoria West tennis player McKenna Spencer. Well, this week we're heading back to the softball field and giving it to Ganado softball player and Paisley Hyeski. Here's more for our Athlete of the Week. For this week's Athlete of the Week, we're handing it to Ganado softball player Paisley Hyeski, who had 3 RBIs total in her first career home run in the Maidens' 19-2 win over Corrigan Camden Bulldogs in Game 1. Paisley talks about her approach at the plate and funny story about her coach disagreeing with her at the plate as well.
If the ball was there, I was going to swing hard. If not, I was just going to get a base hit. It was actually funny because he told me I get 1 pitch to swing at, and then I have to bunt the ball. And then the runners move, so he let me swing.
This funny story Paisley mentioned became reality through Tuesday's game as, again, she hit her first career home run in their win. She describes how this moment felt for her.
Great. I've never hit a home run before, so it was the first one. I think my team definitely hyped me up very good, and yeah, I appreciate it.
This sense of confidence at the plate for Paisley was a process throughout this season as she had to find her power at the plate, game by game. Head coach James Hart discusses how Paisley has progressed at the plate throughout this season.
She stuck with it. She's learned to control her bat. Beginning of the season, she was swinging out of the strike zone. Now she's really focused on her strike zone and swinging good pitches, and that makes a world of difference.
Paisley and the Ganado Maidens are executing at the right time as they're only 1 win away from the state championship there next week. She describes what her team must do to get the victory tonight.
Me and our team executed, and we just need to come out. We need to come out Thursday with the same effort, and we need to finish it off there.
Wish the Ganado Maidens luck tonight in Game 2. Congrats for Paisley Hyeski for being this week's Athlete of the Week. All right, the moment of truth there for Paisley and the Maidens. Guess what? They needed that 1 more win tonight, and guess what? Yes, they did. For Ganado fans, they are reaching their first ever state championship game, and guess what? How did they beat? They won 8-1 because top hitter this entire year there for the Ganado Maidens and Kaylee Benavides had 4 RBIs there tonight. Pitcher Sailor Burrs pitched back-to-back games, and again on 2 days rest and had 15 Ks tonight for the Maidens. Now they also got big production from Raylan Pena as well, and for Ganado fans, they're going to face the Riesel Indians in the 2A Division I state championship. That'll be there at 1 p.m. at the University of Texas. Now the same principles apply there for Shiner. They only need 1 more win tonight to advance to back-to-back state championships, and guess what? They also got the job done. They won 10-4 over the Crossroads Bobcats tonight, and with that now they're going back-to-back state championships. They're waiting to see if they're going to face the Sundown Roughnecks or the Munster Hornets, and we could see a rematch of the football championship if Munster wins there over, and it would be Munster and Shiner. Football, maybe softball as well. We'll have to see if that happens there going into next week. And how about there, the baseball team? We only had 1 team left, and that was the Shiner Comanches, and they lost the game 1 there 4-1. It was in a lightning delay for game 2. They had to wait a little bit, and guess what? They lost that game 2-1 because Shiner, going into this series, they scored 69 runs and only allowed 6 runs entire whole. And guess what? They couldn't get the bats going tonight, and that means you look at it overall. Their season ends in the regional finals. They're at 25-6. Now from all this baseball, softball action to spring football, yes, spring football time. Victoria East High School held their spring game tonight at Memorial Stadium. This was a huge opportunity to see future for the Friday Night Lights there for East and beginning in late August. And head coach John Ford knows there's a lot of new adjustments this season they're going to look for and appreciates the team effort tonight.
And new positions, and so we're still playing with it and figuring out what they're going to be the best at to put them in the best position, competing. And it might not have been our best day execution wise, but their effort was fantastic.
Now Ford and the Titans, they're going to look and grow from these mistakes here. Again, this is just the spring game, so they're going to try to get ready, fix all those mistakes going in their home opener versus the Georgetown Eagles on August 29th. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don and Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a beloved Muppet takes the stage at a Maryland graduation. See who delivered words of wisdom to the class of 2025. Hint, it ain't easy being green.
Stay up late and I'll carry you to bed. Do people ask you to sign strange things?
Yeah.
Are there things you won't sign?
No, I'll pretty much do anything.
Pretty much?
That's my vibe.
A Philadelphia first responder is being honored as a hero, but her story actually began nearly 50 years ago when she was the one being rescued. Janet Pearson was just 18 months old when she was badly burned in a house fire. First responders saved her life, and now she has returned the favor countless times as a paramedic and lieutenant in the Philadelphia Fire Department. She says she once felt intimidated by the job, but pushed through with one message: go for your dreams.
Happy Mummies Day. Scientists have uncovered the scents, S-C-N-T-S, of ancient Egypt, and they're surprisingly sweet.
Wow.
A new study analyzed air samples from inside mummies, revealing aromas like frankincense, myrrh, and resins used in embalming. Researchers say these pleasant smells symbolized purity to the ancient Egyptians and offer new clues about mummification practices. The non-invasive method also helps preserve remains and could let museums recreate these scents for visitors to smell history for themselves.
Interesting.
Very interesting. History for your nose.
Yeah.
Where have I heard about that frankincense and myrrh? Where have I heard about
the
that?
Christmas story, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And apparently they were really doing that.
Yes. Well, of course.
They had
there
to
you
cover
go.
up the unpleasant scents.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, folks, it's the weekend. Lots of you traveling. If you are, just know that around the state we're going to have scattered showers, and we will start increasing that activity only in the afternoon hours, beginning over the weekend. And of course that includes Monday. I don't want you to, get all depressed or anything. You're going to be fine. These are going to be garden variety showers that pop in the afternoons, heat and humidity. And with good luck, we'll continue that rain chance into early next week because we need the rain.
Yes, so don't cancel any plans because of the rain if you have plans to go anywhere.
Go forward.
All right. Well, University of Maryland graduates had a very green commencement speaker this year. Tonight, Kermit the Frog delivered a speech sending the class of 2025 into the next chapter of their lives. The beloved Muppet offered words of optimism and encouragement to the graduating students. Kermit has a long history with the school. Muppet's creator, Jim Henson, graduated from the university in 1960. Wow. The campus garden even has a bronze statue of Kermit and Henson.
But where's Miss Piggy in that?
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the get the whole
what?
And that may be memorable. I don't remember who spoke at my commencement, but if you have Kermit there, you might remember that. Well, thanks for joining us tonight.
25 News Now, sunrise at 5 a.m. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.